Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'm sitting with a very renowned name in Perfumer Jean Jacques. I hope I'm not butchering your name, my French. I'm still learning.
Jean Jacques is perfect.
Jean Jacques. So perfect. I mean, I don't know if you know his work, but he has done not only things in niche world, but also a designer. So Givenchy, David.
Before now,
yes.
Caron.
Yes, before. So talking from where you come from,
okay.
And of course, if you think about niche, L'Orchestre Parfum. So I got some
You know
time to
that
research. Yeah, I know Piano Santal.
I love it.
Yes. It's a beautiful fragrance, and now you are an in-house perfumer for Maison Caron.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's just a pleasure to be sitting with you and talking to you.
Me too. I'm very happy.
Yeah, for people who don't know, Jean, please talk a little bit about your background, where you come from, how you started. I know you have piano in common, or you come from a musical background, so to say. But please talk a little bit about it.
Very well.
Yeah, I tried to do my research whenever I interview someone.
Super. Yeah. I was not supposed at all to be a perfumer.
Okay.
I was playing piano when I was young, studying chemistry.
Yeah.
But playing piano, crazy about music, about jazz. Spending my night in jazz club in Paris, and wondering what I was going to do of my life.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine talked to me about a school in Versailles, which is ISIPCA. Told to me, well, you are studying chemistry, you are a kind of artist, you make music. Maybe perfumery could be a good meeting point between your study and your aspiration. And so, why not? It's a good idea. So I take the exam to get into the school. I got it, and since the first day in that school, for me it was clear I wanted to be a perfumer. That's what I say to my son when sometime after I would have preferred to die than not being a perfumer.
Wow.
Really, for me it was I had to do that.
Yeah.
Definitely. Since the first day in that school.
Yeah, but did chemistry help? Of course.
Not really. Not really. It helped for perfumers who work for laundry, for difficult base to perfume, such as bleach or stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's better to have a chemistry background.
Yeah.
But for fine fragrances, we make fragrances which are in alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, mainly I would say alcohol. So honestly, no, the chemistry doesn't serve. So you have to learn the smell of the ingredients, and you need to have some good ideas. That's chemistry, That's right.
And music, did you leave music or did you continue with music? How did that help? Because I talked to a lot of perfumers, and a lot of time their references of perfume making with music making, or could it be painting, regarding kind of usage of notes, and like with any artist who's good with something.
There's a lot of connection between music and fragrance, definitely, at least in terms of vocabulary.
Yeah.
When you talk about harmony, disharmony, many times when you talk about certain ingredients in perfume, in perfume, you say a note.
Correct.
Okay, I put a jasmine note.
Yeah.
Like a note of music. So there's a lot of connection in terms of vocabulary. So it talks to me a lot, especially because I'm crazy about jazz.
Mm-hmm.
And in jazz, the chords are very complicated, much more complicated than in pop music or whatever.
Yeah.
You have some 7 plus, 7 minus, 9s, 13 accords. So they are very complicated accords that you can clearly make a connection with an accord or perfumery when you make jasmine with sandalwood or whatever. Yeah. So you have really clearly a combination. And what I like to say, so many times when I make a fragrance, I want to put a blue note in my fragrance.
A blue note?
A blue note, yes. And the blue note in jazz, in the blues, is a note which is a bit disturbing, in the jazz harmony, the blue note is not which is not really fit with the chords, a bit on the edge. Yes.
Okay, so it's a bit edgy.
It's a bit edgy note, you say. That makes that it sounds a bit weird, but it makes that it becomes attractive.
I see.
I like this idea, especially for the fragrances, to put a blue note in my fragrances, something which is a bit disturbing. You see, but that you could not imagine with. But finally, it makes something a bit disturbing, a bit on the edge, and that makes all the interest of the fragrance.
Yeah.
For example, I don't know, the ginger with the vetiver in Aimez-moi comme je suis. You could not imagine the ginger coming, disturbing the vetiver and the hazelnut on Aimez-moi comme je suis. But the fact that the fresh nut that brings the ginger, this blue nut of ginger in Aimez-moi comme je suis, in this perfect accord of hazelnut and vetiver, makes the freshness something lively that makes something edgy and make it attractive. So that's another connection that I like to mention regarding music and fragrance.
Absolutely. And after Isipka, how was it like for you? Like, we spoke about Cécile and other perfumers. So how was it? Was it difficult? Because even though, very few people kind of pass out from these prestigious schools, how was it like? Like you worked for Takasago, right?
At the beginning, I was in Caron.
Okay.
In fact, when I had some training session in Quest. At the time, Quest was existing, and I had the chance at that time to meet a famous perfumer, which is Pierre Bourdon, which is my mentor.
Yeah.
And Pierre, I didn't know at the time I was doing it, but Pierre did help me to get my first job in Caron.
Okay.
And finally, I didn't have any training time with the master perfumers. I got my job directly, not directly after the school, because at the time we had the military service to make.
Okay.
Directly after the military service, I had that third job in Caron, and I directly was on the brief, had to win business, to be efficient, and so on, by myself, I would say. So I really have to learn by myself.
Okay.
I would say put the hand in the stuff and on the nose especially, and to try to find good ideas and to win business, and it did work well, quickly. I said 4 years in Caron Corporation, it was close to Paris, and then after I moved to Takasago. Yes. Thanks to Pierre also, because in fact I meet the Takasago people during an event. It was the contest of young perfumer, and I was nominated with the perfumers from Takasago. There was the team of Takasago, and Pierre Bourdon, my mentor, was the chief of the artistic jury. Yeah. So when they called me on the stage, Pierre was like this. He was so happy, surprised, and happy to see that I was nominated. And so he met the guys in Takasago, say, that guy. And then the day after this prize, I've been hired by Takasago. I joined Takasago. Stayed about 22 years in Takasago.
Wow.
It was a super company. I was very happy in Takasago. I started like a baby over there.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say that I became a senior perfumer, because I want to stay modest, but I would say that I built my career over there. And Takasago has already been so nice with me, enables me to work with music, because I always work with music. So the only people which asked me to stop the music was my perfumer colleagues, because they were fed up with my music, because I was putting it in all the levels. So I have very excellent condition of work in Takasago. But 5 years ago, the boss of at that time of Caron called me and said, Jean, we would like to come and be the in-house perfumer of Caron. We are relaunching the house. The owner, Ariane Rothschild, is a fantastic woman. You should meet her. So I've been in Geneva.
She's based in Paris?
No, she's based in many places in the world, but she's located in Geneva. So I've been over there. We have a crazy time together. She was there. 2 of her daughters was there. We spent time smelling stuff, laughing, thinking about the future together. I almost missed my flight back because we were talking too much together, and she decided, and I decided to go into this fantastic adventure of the relaunch of Caron, and since 4 years now I'm doing that, and it's a crazy moment. Honestly, we launched about 22, 25. I don't even remember new fragrance in 4 years. We are huge and crazy project together of new ingredients, of a new story of fragrance. Well, honestly, it's above all my expectation in terms of intensity, emotional, creativity, or whatever you want. It's a
Yeah.
crazy adventure.
Yeah, but how is it to? I mean, I recently learned about the house because, but I also read that they're from 1907 or 1908, so it's quite a
120.
Yeah, yes.
Next year we will celebrate the 120-year anniversary.
Crazy. But how is it then to kind of come in as a independent or as a in-house perfumer, like because it has such a strong legacy? Like, do you kind of only spend 6 months only to get to know the DNA of the brand? Like, how do you start with a brand that is not fresh but has such a strong legacy, and then you have to build upon kind of a certain DNA that a fragrance already has, and to take it forward from there?
But I spent almost the 2 first months not making any formula, spending my time in the old formulas of Ernest Daltroff, the founder of the house. And I was amazed by the amount of natural sandalwood. This Narcisse Noir created in 1911. 13% of natural sandalwood. It's just a mountain of sandalwood. I was looking at Nemekemo at the level of natural rose. Poil Center 1927, more than 4% of natural jasmine. I was amazed by the level of natural ingredients in this formula, and I was this guy is not a program. I don't know how to say program. He's not set like me. He doesn't. How was he working? Because I have never seen such an amount of natural ingredients. Yeah. So it was very interesting to see that, to be infused by the way of doing of that guy. Yeah. And also, of course, smelling the classical fragrances of the house, especially Pour un Homme. Yeah. Pour un Homme, which is 61% of natural lavender. 61% of natural lavender. But using the vanilla, the duality of lavender vanilla in 1934, to put vanilla in a fragrance for men, the first fragrance for men in 1934, it was you see, I was really amazed with that. So I decided, first of all, to build all my fragrances on the idea of an unexpected duality of ingredient, like Pour un Homme, lavande vanilla. No sense, but it works. So why not doing ginger and musk for one of the colors? Why not making hazelnut and vetiver for Aimez-moi comme je suis, or maté?
I would love to smell it. I've heard so many good things about the hazelnut. Oh, sorry to interrupt.
I like so much.
We should have it here, right?
No, we don't have it.
While I was researching it, it has a huge fan base. I've heard, like, has a great reviews and
we have made some a kind of dinners with colleagues of yours, some influencers, and some models also when we launched this fragrance. And I still see that guys to parties that we make. It was 4 years ago, and they still wear it, even though they receive all the lunch. You see, since 4 years they receive everything which is lunch in terms of masculine fragrances. And the guy says, no, I wear Aimez-moi comme je suis. I'm crazy of that one. So I'm happy when I see that, because that's a fragrance which I really, really love. So I try to make the fragrance based on this idea of unexpected duality of two ingredients, which should not work together, a bit like the Blue Nut. But finally it works, and it creates a new story, tobacco and chocolate for Tabaski. And also I try to respect the Daltroff spirit by being crazy in terms of level of ingredients. That's why in Tabac Blanc you have 6% of natural maté. That's why Aimez-moi que je suis 10% of ethical vetiver. Ethical vetiver with a label, For Life label, that you can Google, you can see For Life EcoCert, and you can check all the criteria to have this ethical label. So I try to respect the spirit of Daltroff, based on this time that I passed reading the formulas, but of course with modern ingredients. So for example, the Cashmeran for Muscoli, which is a molecule which I'm crazy about. When I was working in Takasago, I was putting 1%, 2%, 3%. In Muscoli, I put 14%, and it's okay. So you see, so I really try to be infused by the Daltroff spirit, but using modern ingredients.
Right. No, I was confused today if I should wear masquali or pieuvre sacré. Pieuvre? I'm butchering the name. Pieuvre? Pieuvre sacré?
Poivre sacré.
Poivre.
Ah ouais,
Sorry,
sorry.
Poivre sacré.
Poivre sacré.
But I went for poivre because it's such
6% of black pepper.
Yeah.
6% black pepper, like in Parfums Sacré in the 90s.
I didn't know that one.
6% of black pepper, 3 of white pepper. I don't know, half percent of muscat, coriander, but more than
really
10% of natural spices ingredients, and more than 13% of natural incense.
Yeah.
So it's huge amount of natural ingredients.
Yeah.
Like Daltroff was making with Narcisse Noir in 1911 with the sandalwood mixed to the carnation aqua.
Wow, it's amazing. So I sense something. Jean, tell me if I'm wrong. You are very big on transparency, right? Like I also sense it now. The fact that you know by heart, a lot of brands, perfumers, they shy away from talking about percentage or how much percentage of X ingredient is in the perfumes. But I think it's seems to be it's very important for you because you know the industry more than I do. But a lot of things happen behind the curtains and behind the scenes. How important is it for you as a creator, perfumer, to be very transparent about your work?
Maybe it's only a question of education. And the fact that I don't like to lie or whatever, I don't know. But also it's because I think that that's the way, we were talking just before our meeting, we were talking about trends.
Yeah.
And the person I was talking with was saying, do you see any trends in perfume? I said, I don't see any trends in perfume. You have 3,000 launches per year. How can you see a trend when you have 3,000 proposals? You can always pick up 10 fragrance and say 10 perfume and say it's a trend. But there's a trend which is heavy.
Yeah.
The trend which is heavy is to give sense to what you do.
Yeah.
And to tell the truth to consumer, because anyway they can check everything. So this is a trend which I feel strongly. I think that we have to tell the truth. We have to make honest perfumery. When I make a fragrance and I say it smells chocolate and tobacco, it has to smell chocolate and tobacco.
Right.
If I say that I build a fragrance based on the mate, it has to smell mate. I don't want to lie. We have to tell the truth. And also, I think that we have to give the level most of the time, not everything of course, but if we claim an ingredient, we have to say how much we put in the formula. How can you claim a sandalwood, natural sandalwood, if you don't say how many you put? Even though there's only 6% of natural sandalwood.
Yeah.
In Santal Précieux, one fragrance, there's 6% of ethical sandalwood, natural ethical sandalwood oil in the formula. Even though people could think 6% is not a lot, I prefer to tell the truth because I do believe by keep on telling the truth, people will finally understand that 6% of natural sandalwood cost a lot and is a real commitment, you see? But if you'd never say that, people will never know.
Yeah, although there are no legal boundaries right now on perfumes to be able to call if it's eau de cologne or eau de toilette, you could have 2% perfume oil and call it extrait, right? So I think as a consumer or as a perfume enthusiast, it's liberating and educational, knowing what we are smelling and how much of it is it, and I think that's quite interesting because it's also, talking about trends, it's also quite common in even big mainstream brands. They would not name the perfume or forgetting about the concentration of oil. And they can just say extrait de parfum or something, but not knowing why they are charging what they are charging for.
Absolutely.
So it's a very safe way to be transparent enough and put all the information in the table.
I do believe it. And I believe also that you can smell it, in fact.
Yeah, well, you have to be very trained, or at least a trained.
You have to be very humble, and I do believe that if we put passion in what we do and tell the truth on what we make, finally, it's the best way to do. famous. For the cologne, we have a collection of cologne,
Yeah.
and I do explain that the level of concentration is much higher than the classical cologne.
Right.
Ivre de Liberté, which is a ginger musk,
Mhm.
so unexpected duality, clean ginger musk, I would say, is concentrated at 18%.
Mhm.
But I say it because I say, okay, it's a cologne because it's fresh, but it's a real fragrance concentrated at percentage, which is not a concentration of a
Right.
cologne. So and I tell the truth, always tell the truth. No, it's really important. And most of the fragrance for la collection merveilleuse, we are around 20%.
Okay. Oh, that's quite a lot for.
Quite a lot. I would say classical concentration now 20% for the niche perfumery is quite okay. I mean,
Yeah.
but it's a lot, yes.
Yeah.
And also the price of the ingredients. The price of my formula is very high.
Yeah, and what kind of a palette do you have? Like, do you have a lot of ingredients that you have access to, or where are you sourcing those ingredients from? Is it all done in Paris?
Well, it's a good question. I don't have my personal laboratory, but we have a kind of contract with a big company which is IFF.
Yeah.
So I make my formula with a computer of IFF, with the software of formulation of IFF, and I'm using the IFF catalog of ingredients, especially the LMR, natural, which is a company specialized in natural ingredients, which is based in Grasse, and which is known to be one of the best company of natural ingredient, because MR is Monique Rémy, and Monique Rémy, when I start working in perfumery, was coming to see perfumers to present her natural. I say, if you want to buy shit, buy this quality of jasmine, which is 38999. But if you want to buy real jasmine, buy the A1. Okay. If you want to buy cheap shit, you buy this. But if you want to use a real natural ingredient, use that one. This one is double the price, but this is the real one. And I did like a lot that. And I did like the way she was presenting natural ingredients. And honestly, the catalog of natural ingredient of LMR is very good, very good. Really, and they also have a good catalog of ethical ingredients with this For Life label. And what I do is that is there in the palette of natural ingredients, if there's one which is I don't know how to say that. For example, the vetiver or the patchouli. There is a patchouli For Life in the portfolio of ingredients of patchouli that I can use. Since there's one For Life, so one indical, I only use that one.
Okay.
I forget all the others. You see, that's exactly what we do at home.
Right.
At home now we have changed our habit in many little gestures. We be careful of the trash that we make. We make the selection of the trash. We be careful of the shower. We are all making little changes in our everyday life habits, and that's what I do also in terms of perfumery. If I have a For Life ingredient, I only use that one. Only. I forget all the others, and I make little change which comes the way of doing. You see?
Absolutely.
So the catalog of ingredients is the IFF one, which is good because, for example, for muscally, it's a high dosage of a molecule which is cashmere. We have got it. Cashmere. But the good point of this cashmere is that IFF has a special quality which they call FF. So it's a natural. It's an even better quality of cashmere. Thanks to the fact that I work with IFF. Portfolio.
Jean, I was curious about the cloudy color.
Ça sent trop bon.
You
can understand that every perfumer wants overdose this ingredient. It smells so good. It's almost a fragrance. But
it almost is a fragrance. You're right. It's so complex already.
Well, exactly.
In fact,
it's a synthetic ingredient with the like a natural one. It smells like you have many different ingredients in the smell, although it's only one molecule. It's very strange.
It's really beautiful.
Because you have the freshness, you have this little piney freshness something, you have the kind of resinous smell, and behind you have the hot woody, but you have also the musky facet, which is so comfortable. It's so faceted. It's amazing for a single molecule.
Mm-hmm.
It's really surprising to have such many different facets.
And the piney aspect is so interesting, because usually you if you think of cashmere, you think of something soft and enveloping, but there is this piney spikes.
Not only, absolutely.
It's really, really interesting.
Which I did mixed with like a tea leaves accord also, so they were connected with the piney effect. And after all the smooth background is mixed with the javanol, which is the very diamond of molecule, which is really the signature of Muscat.
Cashmere.
So I work with the IFF catalog of ingredients, which is a good one. Really good one.
And the cloudy color of the bottles, maybe I will show
that's
you. The juice. It's almost it's like a coconut water. So to say.
Absolutely. Well, you know, it's also the chance that we had to work with heavy, I would say, a company like IFF. Is that because of the smell, because of the idea that we wanted to make a musk something fragrance. They did propose us to make that kind of smell, and I said yes, let's make it. It's such a good idea. So they made that try, and we were very happy, and we decided to make it without knowing if it's gonna work or not, without knowing if people would agree to have a fragrance with this kind of smell. And finally, Muscoli, you know, is our best seller now.
Yeah, I could imagine. I could really imagine. Also, the layering thing. I could also imagine you could layer it with something.
Oui.
You know?
In Middle East, they mix a lot it.
Yeah.
Because it's a musk something.
Correct.
So they buy it and they can mix. So that Middle East, they do that a lot. But in Europe, they buy it for themselves. They don't. I'm not. I don't know, to be honest. But I'm not sure they are layering it. But we are really surprised, because it's a fragrance that I at the beginning made for only Olivia de Rothschild, Ariane Dollar. It was supposed to be only for her, but because she was coming in the office and we said, "Oh, you smell good, what is the fragrance?" We finally said, "Well, we're going to make it for her, we are going to make a real fragrance." And we launch it, we make this specific color, we make this specific label. Many things was very experimental on Muscoli. And finally, it works so well, so we are very happy. And it's good to see that this kind of smell, Muscoli, works with Caron, parce que forcément, we are, just imagine, created in 1904, Caron. We are, I don't like to say old brand, I would say a brand with an history. But of course, I don't believe that people are waiting for us with this kind of fragrance. And finally, it works. So it's very good. That means that we can really bring the brand, this house, to the sky, I would say, to the moon. Because even though this fragrance is very experimental, then it works. And people love it. So I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, this is a sweetness. There's some, is it vanilla?
Oh no, it's really cashmere, javanol. You have a little touch of jasmine, some back from the floral heart, touch of rose essential for life, so the rose essential. The tea leaves on the top, the bergamot is very simple. Some musky background, only musky smell.
It almost feels like a slight warmth, like benzoin-like. It's a little bit. I don't know, maybe it comes from jasmine or something, but it's really, really lovely. Wow.
Mais ça sent bon, ça sent très bon. It's very comforting. It's a smell in which you can feel comfortable. You can work at home for yourself. You can work if you go outside also. It's a fragrance which makes you, ça vous fait du bien, ça fait du bien. Makes you feel good.
Absolutely. It's a happy scent.
Happy scent, yes, yeah. That gives you a kind of introspection feeling. This fragrance looks like nothing for me. I've never thought I would have made such a kind of fragrance for Caron, and finally it's the bestseller. So it's really, it's very interesting, and also it brings you back to humility. Means that you can imagine whatever you want. You can put all your passion in your fragrance, like make something like Poivre Sacré, which is a bomb of spices. Finally, that's the consumer who has the power.
Right.
And finally,
they decide.
you have to stay very humble. We did it on eau de toilette. I've put it at 14% because I wanted to have more freshness on the top. And also because I was thinking that it could be a good fragrance for the Asian market, for China and so on. And we are sold out in Middle East.
Okay.
You see, we don't have the power.
Yeah, absolutely.
As soon as you have done your fragrance, you lose the power, and then that's the consumer who decides. So I like the idea, because also some of the fragrance doesn't work, of course. We don't only make success. But I like the idea that you can make all the nicest fragrance that you can believe in. At the end, the consumer has the right to choose.
Absolutely. You spoke about sandalwood. Do we also have sandalwood in the fragrances?
Santal Précieux.
Yeah, because coming from India, we have a lot of touch points with sandalwood.
Of course.
And I think I still haven't found my sandalwood scent, so to say.
Really?
I know there is one from Serge Lutens. Santal Majuscule is called.
Peut-être, je connais pas sûr. I don't know that.
I'm curious about this because.
Okay. So I'm sorry, it's not from India.
Yeah, okay.
It's okay?
Yeah, it's okay. No. But where else does sandalwood come from? Like also from Asia or?
This one?
Yeah.
No, I've got 3% of Australian sandalwood.
Yeah, true. They also have some good ones. Yeah.
From Dujan, the company which is called Dujan, which is held by Aborigine, administrated by Aborigine, 100% for Aborigine. And 3%, which is a sandalwood from New Caledonia, which now it's almost a new origin of sandalwood that we use since about 5 years. So it's very good quality also, which is in between the Australian one and the Indian one. So
what is the difference? Like
it's not the same botanic, but it's sandalwood, but it's not the same botanic. I heard that it was not the same botanic name. And olfactively speaking, for me, it's in the middle between Australian and Indian. So you have more terpenic smell on the top, a bit more toppy like the Australian, but you have the creaminess of the Indian one. This is more classical sandalwood, I would say. Touch of cypriol. Touch of leathery in the background also, and a very nice quality of rose absolute, just to make the wood blooming. That's all, So it's not a lot. It's about 0.5% of rose absolute, so it's not a lot, but that makes the things opening and makes the wood smells stronger. I would say more toppy. I would say.
Creamy.
Creamy,
fresh, almost like the rose petals have in the morning, cold, They're very cold with dew. But I felt that the rose aspect was also in the musk one, no? They are
un petit peu. In the muscoli, it's rose essential for life. Donc it's more the rose, really type of rose oil.
Okay.
Donc with the toppy freshness and so on. This is the absolute rose, so you have a bit more warm. It's more warm rose, I would say, than the fresh toppy rose oil.
Yeah, it's really, it has a vintage vibe, but also somehow feels contemporary. Sometimes it still feels modern.
Okay.
When I first sprayed it, it was like, okay, maybe it's slightly vintage going, but it still has some kind of maybe it's the rose that brings the freshness.
Oui. That was the idea. Yeah.
It's really
this one, it's a nice one also. Yeah. You smell quality in that sense.
It does. It does.
You smell natural sandalwood oil. There's a lot of sandalwood fragrance on the market. There's not so many which smell natural sandalwood. That's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
You can imagine that you have natural sandalwood in this fragrance, and when you smell that, you say, okay, that smells natural.
That's really lovely. Which other ingredients do we have now? Because I'm really always fascinated with ingredients.
Santal Précieux?
No, in general, I think this we already discussed.
The ingredients there?
Which is your favorite? Maybe we can choose one or two more and smell it together.
Voilà,
you have some accords?
I would like to make you smell the Mate NHS because it's the main ingredient of tabac blanc.
I have smelled it.
This is my favorite tabac blanc. And the Mate, ça sent trop bon. Ça sent trop bon, Mate.
Wow. Okay.
Vraiment.
Oh, it's dense.
I've got 7% in that fragrance of Maté.
Hey, this is how I in my head, Mate smells like.
Bah, oui, oui. It is really Maté. Hein. Donc oui, ça sent vraiment.
Wow.
You know this fresh hair smell.
Yeah.
It smells the countryside. When you walk in the countryside and you have some field of hair, whatever.
Very, very linear, right? It's quite linear and flat.
Ouais. J'adore. It smells tea also.
Yeah, exactly what I want to say. Very calming.
But a good tea, not the one not the cheap one. You can imagine a drop of jasmine with that, and you really have a tea of jasmine. I can imagine.
Yeah, in India, two brews in India. Yeah, I mean it's very also complex.
Ça sent trop bon. And I really wanted to make a fragrance based on this ingredient because I love it. Mm-hmm. And when I thought about making what could be a white tobacco, tabac blanc, I said, what could be a white tobacco? A tobacco lives without any animalic side, without the smoky smell and so on. I said, Mate, I'm going to make a Mate. So I thought about that, but I wanted to be hot also, sensual also, so I mixed that with the cocoa. Mm-hmm. Not only, of course, but the main ingredient of tabac blanc is Mate and cocoa. So we can smell the cocoa extract. It's a super quality of natural cocoa, cocoa absolu. Yeah, from Elémère again.
Yeah, you get really a lot of tea and earthy notes in this. It's really very interesting ingredient.
And you see the cocoa, ça sent vraiment le cocoa, ça sent incroyable.
Oh, animalic. It's very animalic too. Almost
absolute cacao is animalic. C'est
almost
sensual.
Almost cumin-like. Does it make sense at all? Almost like sweaty.
Un peu sweaty, ouais. Right? I don't know if it's cumin, but it's a bit sweet.
Sweaty. That's what I meant because usually cumin is.
Oui, bien sûr.
Wow. Very. It's not sweet like your gourmand cacao, but
I wanted
this is really
to make a Mate.
Yeah, I have both of them here.
And if you mix the Mate and cacao, c'est bon. Hein? And you can smell tabac blanc. You will see that you have this Mate freshness on the top. You have this vanilla background, sensual with the cocoa. Plus, of course, a huge amount of musk of ambroxan. I love ambroxan so much.
Yeah, it elevates the fragrance.
Ah ouais, ambroxan, c'est fou.
This cacao is very interesting.
J'adore.
Yes, but there's much more here. There's much more here than.
Ça sent bon.
Florals. What florals? Is it white florals?
Touch of jasmine also, but transparent smells of it's much more like cyclamal, floral, so transparent white flowers.
It's my favorite so far. It's really my favorite so far.
Ça sent trop bon.
Oh, it smells timeless.
On you, it will smell so good.
I think I have this timeless aspect. I think this fragrance, like.
J'adore. And it's really funny because Tabac Blanc, it's a fragrance that I made almost since the beginning. I was in Caron, and because we did launch Tabac Noir and Tabac Exquis, it spent about 2 years between the time that I made it and decided with Ariane that we stop on that formula and we launched it. So I've distributed many samples to friends and so on. And I have so many comment guys claiming, hey, there's still a woman who catch me in the street to say, what is your fragrance? And the guy, I was the other day in a company working in a communication company for the day. The day after, the guy called me to say, what was the fragrance yesterday? I have many stories like this with Tabac Blanc. Ça sent super bon ce jus, je l'adore. Je surkiffe.
Yeah, when I smelled the chocolate, I was like, it would be edgy, but it's so well blended.
No, because a lot of masks, the ambroxan, which smells so good, which smells. Ah, ça sent trop. Ça sent trop.
Yeah. Wow.
The vanilla background and touch of orris also. which makes a powdery background also, something very comfortable, sensual but comfortable. And the oris kills the humidity of the cocoa. It makes that it works very well. And you got all the musky background after that. So you have this maté, this cocoa, the oris and the musk, et un broxan, which...
I have to see how it develops. Jean, let's do one more ingredient of fragrance, and then I know you have a lot of meetings today, but it's such a pleasure to be smelling these with you.
Do you know that one? Because it's
I think I have the sample. Oh, I confused this. I have this one, Exquise, as a sample. I would love to
smell really chocolate.
Yeah.
Tobacco and chocolate.
Yeah.
Blanc is maté and cacao.
I would love to smell it. And tobacco, when I read tobacco, it feels like tobacco, but it has nothing to do with tobacco.
Si, tobacco.
Okay.
Tobacco. You know, Tabaisky is interesting just to explain, maybe as you are filming also, what we do with Caron. We are a company with a nice history, a nice legacy, 1904.
Yeah.
What I always say that, last week I have made a post on Instagram. It was a little movies. We can see an old bottle of Mille Noël created in 1922, and in the background, Muscoli created in 2022. So 100 years, and I wrote, love the history and explore the future. And I really like it. That's really what we do with Caron. Many times we start from the history, because of this nice legacy of creative fragrances, of revolutionary, of audacity and so on. So we start from the story to create the future. And Caron in 1919 launched a fragrance which was called Tabac Blond. Tabac Blond in 1919, it is the first leather fragrance of history of perfumery, Tabac Blond. And because of Tabac Blond, I've made Tabac Noir in 2019 for the 100th anniversary, right. Tabaisky in 20, and Tabac Blanc in 22, to create a kind of collection of tobacco, but because at the beginning there is Tabac Blanc.
Yeah.
So I like this because that's what I do every day. I start from the history, but I try to explore the future. And Tabaisky is a very nice fragrance. Tobacco smell, of course.
Wow, but chocolate is so much pronounced.
Chocolate.
So much pronounced.
Especially on the top. But if you put it on the skin also, you will see after 1 hour all the tonka beans, the absolute tobacco from Balkan, all these very nice natural ingredients, which are classical, I would say. But this top of chocolate makes it much more modern than if it would be only a classical ingredient. So that makes that I use the history, but I mix it with a touch of modernity, exploring some modern ingredients. This chocolate awake, I would say, the tobacco, the classical tobacco. So, this is really what I want to do. I want to respect our history, but to explore the future.
Right. There's almost a boozy aspect to it. Boozy alcohol.
Oui.
Rum, almost rum.
Oui, absolutely.
Rum,
but there's a touch of rum.
Okay, touch of rum. Okay.
And also, to make chocolate smell, you use certain kind of molecule which are common with that you use also to make some alcoholic rum, cognac. So there's a connection between chocolate and rum.
Yeah. Oh, it's it's not sickeningly sweet. Usually when I smelled it, I was like, okay, because of the burst of chocolate, it would be very sweet, but it balances out very well.
No, I really like to work on the idea of gourmandise without sugar.
Yeah, but although here you have almost like a vanilla, but Oris much more now. And mate. Look, it just dries down to a very, very beautiful.
But on you, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't tell you that to be...
no, sure. I mean, for me...
I tell you honestly, I don't see you wearing something else. Poivre sacré, I'm not sure.
Although sandal
blanc.
Yeah, and sandalwood also does better on my skin somehow.
Santal précieux, c'est très beau. C'est très beau. C'est de la belle parfumerie. It's nice perfumery, santal précieux. Tabac blanc is modern sensual perfume.
but also very unisex. As
Absolutely unisex. And it's very funny because when I've created, I was more thinking, even though when I create fragrance, I don't think about a man or a woman or whatever, but I was more imagine Tabac Blanc on a man, and each time I smell a woman wearing Tabac Blanc, it's amazing. And it doesn't smell at all the same.
Yeah, it's always different.
Ouais, c'est trop marrant. It's very funny because fragrance is really a combination of a human and a smell, and a fragrance. And it's really the combination of both and makes that it doesn't smell the same at all.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you project about yourself and what your fragrance talk about. And it's really funny to smell how different stories can be expressed by the smell.
Yeah.
But the only fact that it's the same fragrance but another person who wear it.
Yeah. Wow, it's so faceted. This is so faceted that
and time by time you will see the tobacco effect which come stronger and stronger on the cabins and ça marche.
4 or 5 fragrances, completely different directions, and it's really interesting for a perfume enthusiast like me to explore, especially also with the ingredients. It's really
you're right. It's a strength and it's also a weakness. Is that because we have a very large portfolio of fragrances. We have about 40 fragrances. 35, something like that. 15 classical, about 25 or 20 new fragrances launched in the last 3 years. But the good thing with Caron, that's why guys who are on the shops and selling Caron tells me, especially in the Middle East, they said that this is great because if you go into a Caron corner, you are sure that you will find something that you like. Because if you want a big floral, you will have classical big floral, you have boîte senteur. Modern bouquet floral, you have vacancy. You like rose, you have rose ébène, rose ivoire. You want woody fragrance, you have santal précieux. You want a oud, you will have one next year. You want a musk modern, you have muscadine. Do you see? Whatever you test, whatever your sensibility, if you go into a Caron corner, you will find a fragrance that you will fall in love with.
Yeah.
That's not what I say me. That's what the guys tell me.
No, absolutely.
I wouldn't be so proud or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's true that we have a very large portfolio of fragrances with all the type of smell.
Yeah, but Jean, for people who are exploring for the first time or who want to buy a discovery set, which 3 fragrances would you recommend for them to, let's say, to smell first? So what would be the best introduction? So I have a discovery set with me, right? So which 3 fragrances should I, from first, second, third, should I pick to put on a blotter first?
You miss one. Pour un homme.
Yeah, okay, I have it. I smell it at home. It's classic. It's
but if you want to discover Caron, you have to smell Pour un homme. You know, Pour un homme is what we used to say, one of the 100 fragrances that you have to smell before dying. So you have to smell Pour un homme first, because we will celebrate the 90 anniversary next year. Mm-hmm. It's still one of our best sellers. Yeah. C'est une pure merveille. The simplicity of the accord, the 60% of natural lavender, this vanilla lavender accord, it created in 1934. So, pour un homme first, to see that it's a first fragrance for men and to see how nice perfumery Caron does. Pour un homme, and for the modernity, I would say, for the Caron of today, I would say Muscoli.
Yeah, it's completely different direction.
Completely different, but to see that. What is important is the mindset. The Caron was a very explorating fragrance at the time, the first fragrance for men. Muscoli tried a new exploration, I would say. So Muscoli for the modernity, and Tabac Blanc parce que
that's true.
Tabac Blanc for the beauty of the ingredient, for the mate, which is one of the first fragrances used in mate as a key ingredient for the use of the natural, for the beauty of the emboxant, the oris. Tabac Blanc, I'm crazy about that one. So Pour un homme for history, Muscoli for the future, and Tabac Blanc for today.
That's a great summary, Jean. Thank you very much for sitting with me. It was a pleasure to be talking to you, and I can't wait for people to explore Caron, but also what you are coming up with next, and to learn more about your work. So thank you for spending your precious time with us.